Okay, we are live. Welcome to the Lamplight Soulogy co-creation, collaboration, soul gathering. Thank you all for coming. We may get more people here, we may not, it doesn't matter because we got enough soul to light the whole place up. We're going to be streaming on 4 cameras, and Jeremy and I are going to put a production together when this is all over and try to set some kind of template up so we can do this again and again and again. We got Eddie Hensley from Sundance, and he's going to be the DJ today. He's going to get up and talk a little bit. A lot of people are. We're going to have a spontaneous gathering where people just come up and do their thing. We got somebody coming with a classical violin fiddle a little bit later. We've got some other things planned. We're going to do a little 20-minute segment of a Soul Speaks 5D show we do in Soulogy, and we're just going to wing it. So without further ado, this is my brother, very dear friend. I came off the streets in late 2013, 2 years, a year and a half after I woke up, and I met this gentleman. He's one of the first probably 500 friends I had on Facebook. I connected to his group. We connected to each other. This is Jeremy McDonald from Lamplight, and he's a very good friend and a dear brother, and I'm honored to be here with him.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Good. So I'm excited about us getting together. We've done, Lamplight Group's done quite a few of these events where we've done concerts live on streaming on the internet. It's been great. And so we did an event that Todd and I got introduced called Celebrating Infant Oneness at Sacred Lands back in 2014, and that's how, really honestly, what kind of brought Todd and I together. But we've actually never physically met until January of this year, which is always on the internet. And he does some amazing work, and I'm excited about what we're going to bring out today. And the idea is just to raise the frequency and make that, how would Todd say it, that shift happen, or that you can't make this shift up, is that how you say it? So it's going to be a great day, and thanks everybody for coming. Peace. Peace. Peace.
We're going to do the first one. I'm sorry, we're going to do the second one. And then the first one. And then the third is going to be the patient. Okay. Yes, so we want to start. Yes, go ahead. I'm not used to one of these. Here we go. Doesn't move. Sounds good. All right. Welcome everybody from the internet. Please share this if you would. We've been getting hammered by the Facebook algorithms. Every place I go, we meet more and more people. And I come to understand that the number of views, the number of likes, the number of engagements, comments don't have, you know, any real determination of how many people are feeling the energy and aware of the energy of Lamplight groups, Soulogy, and groups all around the world just like this. I just met somebody who said they've been watching me since 2012 when I was shirtless, out of control, before Mother Goddess got a hold of me, which is actually completed about 10 days ago. But I'm new. I'm dealing with my shadows like everybody else, and we're moving to a higher ground. Our primary hashtag in Soulogy is I am soul, and soul is the bridge to all of our multidimensional aspects as well as all of our lost human aspects that we separated from through our traumas, both in this incarnation and in our past incarnations and through our ancestral line. What you're hearing today, what you're going to see today, and what you're a part of today, because every single person is an equal part of this vortex we created now. What you're going to see is an energy that's expanding very rapidly around the earth. It's not getting mainstream media coverage. It's not even getting alternate internet news coverage. But I can promise you, we don't need to justify or prove or measure ourselves by the number of engagements or views or members or subscribers. This message is going worldwide, and it's happening now. It's not coming. There is not There is not an event coming. We are the event. We are making this happen from the innermost to the outermost, as within, without. We're hoping to do more and more of these collaborations around the country. We're going to be here in Florida until March the 31st, and we're looking occasionally to do something like this, bring people together and let them express themselves and let them be seen for the first time. Many people. There are many people, some in this room, that have been working in the privacy of their own home and bedroom, away from family, in solitude, without any notoriety, in total anonymity, and they have been clued into this universe a lot longer than I have and many other people. And these folks are stepping up now. Many of them are divine feminine, and they're bringing divine masculines with them. We're here to change this world. We went through all this stuff, and we didn't do it for nothing. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to step up. Everyone has an intricate, unique part in the whole thing that's happening. And the entire universe is on its edge of its seat because they can't believe how far we've come, how fast we've come, and they have no idea how far we're going to take it. And I think there's only one thing that can raise hell like the light, and that is the pure I am soul. The second hashtag that we have at Soulogy is the human is the hero, because we've now done enough work in dimension, in touch with our multidimensionality, and that's a different trip for everybody. Let me just make that point. Some people see dragons, some people converse with the wind, and everything in between. But what I'm saying is that most of our work has been done. We'll always have work to be done, but now it's being embodied into the human hybrid soul, where the human has the final decision to merge its free will with universal will. And crazy, amazing, atypical, non-traditional, unconventional things are happening. People are leaving their homes, they're finding an RV, they're converting a truck, they're traveling, they're leaving their jobs and relationships. To thine own self be true.
Yes.
And this is the energy that is expanding. And all we have to do is love ourselves. And the way we get to a higher love for ourselves is to be real with ourselves, the brutal honesty of the soul, to take ownership not just of our shadows, but of creating a new earth. And this is where we are today, and it's an honor to be here. We're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do a quick little meditation, Soulogy style from the old days. And then we're going to go through a meditation with our dear sister here, Snuggle Tuggle.
Yes.
Let's turn it up a little bit. It's a meditation, Soulogy style. We're good. Anyone wants to dance, feel free to do that. It's a pleasure meeting some people here that I've never met before, but I've seen their names and pictures on Facebook. One of the things that we're all starting to really understand is what true oneness is. There is no separation. We all coming from the same place. Trauma, true and tried, life slapped us all in the face. But now we awakening, demonstrating esoteric, mainstream, sacred spirit screens, dark nights, killing lies and living dreams. It's not what you think. It's always been what you know. Halo from the hood, homegrown. Activation, stimulation, creative instant manifestation. Faith is revealing. Hell yeah, we're healing. We're feeling rising. The silent angels are calling. Galactic download transmissions, channelings, halos highballing. Feeling rising. Got this shift. Get your grace grip. Ego done being stripped. Don't forget to let your hair down man. Let this mother rip. Air, water, fire, and ice, stone, cold, blue, perpetual cycle. It's on the level. Don't think twice. Time to balance, ground, and integrate. Guard your space. Hells to heavens. It's the holiest place. We're grinding in the grace. Energetic, etheric field, shadow repelled, revealed, spirit science, seven sealing, Ark of Covenant, divinity drilling, tripping, trilling by the millions. Hope ain't healing. I said hope ain't healing. We got the mojo magical, senses supernatural. Take your hat off to me and you after all we've been through. We are a force, fantastical, mystical, masterful, ancient, alchemical, unifying, untraditional, remembering. Culture conventional, comes conditional, relevational, revolutional. Sacred is the solutional. Soulgasmic super sisters, brothers, can you feel me? Mama, you can heal me. The world tried to steal me. Love has revealed you to me. All right, we're going to bring a beautiful sister up here. You can tuggle. She's going to take us through a little meditation for 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. And 10. Well, if you want to do 10, that's okay. Whatever you want to do is all right. That's right.
That's right.
Let it flow.
Hello, everyone. Should I move this down? Yeah. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Reverend Leanne Tuggle. Most of my friends call me Snuggle Tuggle, hence Snuggle Tuggle. And I've been with the Lamplight Group since 2010. And our intent to raise the energy and the vibes of this world is heartfelt, soul deep. And that's what we do in the Lamplight Group. We help each other. We help bring the soul together when you're broken, when you need to see. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see ourselves. We're going to call on our souls, and we're going to close our eyes. We're going to have a meditation. You get comfortable. Now, you think that I'm going to make it breathe through your nose and out through your mouth to get relaxed? No. We are going to suck in from our mouth, and I want you to close your eyes and I want you to breathe in the universe. Breathe in and out your nose in peace and love. Deep breath in. Out your nose. What you did is you just cleared your space and gave permission for everybody in the room to share your energy, to be one with each other. We sucked our energy in and we became one, and we're blessing the room. Now start breathing in through your nose. Close your eyes and see inside of your head, because we're going to take a ride into the cosmos. We're going to go to the nothingness or no thingness. And then we're going to see our light and how we sparked when we were together. In through your nose. Just breathe it in. Here we are in the pool of consciousness. Feel the flow, the warm energy. Feel the warmth of our souls touching and mingling and knowing that we are one. Feel the warm water. If I was to explain what spirit feels like, it would be warm water all over your body. Now I want you to breathe it in. Let it out. And breathe it in because it's all yours. And it's all mine. And it's all infinite. And we'll never be able to use up this loving energy. Breathe it in. Love it out. Now, how's your feeling being in this pool of consciousness? I want you to pop your head up. And I want you to see who you are. Pop your head up out of the water and say, hey, this is me. This is the part of who I am, part of this cosmos. How do you see yourself? Are you bright, white, light? Are you purple? Do you already have a form? Can you see yourself? Have you ever tried to see yourself? Our God right is our birthright. We are here to experience being human. We are here to understand one another. But we want to meet here in this pool of consciousness, warm, loving consciousness. Now I want you to climb out of this pool. Somehow, some way, in your own way, I want you to climb out completely. How do you see yourself? Do you have arms and legs? Are you a white orb, not yet formed? Are you already riding on the back of a horse somewhere because you know who you are? The space inside of yourself is sacred because nobody else can go there except for you. This sacred loving space is always available to you whenever you need to calm down, or whenever you need to not feel alone, or whenever you need comfort. If you can't find comfort from within yourself, then that's why we're here, to comfort each other, to fill in a void where you have a void. The space-time continuum goes, and there's times where it's time to heal the cracks of our soul, the pain body of the past. Now what are you doing? Now what do you see within inside of yourself? I hope you're floating. I hope you're floating on your back and looking up at the first creation that you see. Is it an earthly creation? Are you here to create? Are you here to love? Are you here to find yourself? I know this is very peaceful, but we need to raise the energy now. So I would like for you to see yourself as this bright light, or whoever's inside of you. I want you to see yourself, and I want you to open. And I want you to open and expand your soul. And I want you to feel the energy of the universe as you go out and as you breathe it in through your mouth. What are your intentions for your universe and your world? What is it that you want to bring into this moment with yourself? Feel it. Breathe it. And know that it is so. Because you will feel this in the next few days. The love and intention that you're bringing to the world, the healing of our waters, the healing of the pollution, the raising of our children where they're not programmed. Help the little ones open their third eye so they can see who they are. And do it young, so they know that they're a part of this great creation, of this universe. We'll teach them, and they'll help, and we'll get it all straightened out. Now it's time to be. Breathe and just be. And when you feel like it, you can wiggle your toes. You can wiggle your hands and your fingers. You can take a deep breath. You can stretch your shoulders. You can be who you are. Open your eyes and be refreshed for the rest of the day. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're just winging it. Let me get this back up here. Jeremy's taller than I am. So Jeremy's going to come up and do a little something. And I just want to put it out there. Anybody that wants to come up here today, no pressure at all. But if you want to come up, give some testimony, light language, conscious rap, dance, you know, whatever the heck you want to do, whatever you want to talk about, an experience that you might have had, you're more than welcome to do it. Okay.
Especially shy people that have stage fright should come up here. If you want to really heal your life, get over public speaking. That's a big thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit. We're kind of doing some exercises to raise the frequency. But one of the things I want to talk about is about empowerment of who we are as individuals. And we can give a lot of rhetoric around that. But I want to tell you a little story about this young man. He was about 16 years old, and he was elected to be the VP of his local Future Business Leaders of America chapter at East Bay High School in about 1993, 92. And so he had to give a 5-minute speech, and he was so nervous that he peed his pants. So can anybody relate to that, speaking in front of people? Okay. So fast forward to about 1997, this young man's manager says, "Would you like to take over teaching this class?" And I responded to him by saying, "Well, got to get over this fear somehow." So they had to film me that particular time. Of course, I still remember peeing my pants a few years prior. So, and do you guys remember the big baggy pants called Jenkos? Do you guys remember them? So they couldn't see my legs like shaking in those jeans. So that was, what, 23 years ago. And since then, I've spoken in front of 1,000 people. And but it's really not about the fear. It's about the fear that actually disables us. And so Where do we get empowerment? It's not just about standing in front of people. It's about going towards your soul, and whatever your soul says, you follow it, and you overcome those fears. And so that's the power behind whatever it is that we're doing here today, or whatever it is you walk out of here and do today or tomorrow, is follow your soul. It doesn't really matter what it is. You know, it could be standing up here doing a meditation. It could be giving somebody a cup of coffee when they're cold, or, you know, making somebody a sandwich. It doesn't really matter what that is. It doesn't have to be some kind of grand thing. It's whatever is in your heart, right? And that's your connection to your soul. And so we talk a lot about raising the frequency of the planet and doing a lot of that stuff. And there's an old quote that says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I'm sure we've all heard that quote, right? Well, it starts with us. It starts with us feeling good about ourselves and you have to love yourself before you can love other people. And it's interesting because I coach a lot of people, and one of the things that they say to me, "I want to find love in life." And I say, "Well, have you found love in yourself?" And, you know, people that are looking for love, that are broken inside, don't exactly want to hear that. So, however, that's exactly what somebody said to me probably about 15 years ago. The woman that actually introduced Todd and I, her name is Virginia Drake, and she said, when you learn how to love yourself, then you'll learn to give that love to other people, and that our cup runneth over, right? There's an old cliche statement that says that. Well, what is that runneth over? It's all that love that you have inside of yourself, and so that you're naturally just giving because you have an abundance to give to other people, but you're constantly replenishing yourself. So this is how we raise the frequency of the planet, by starting with us. You have to go really, really in order to go really, really out. Does that all make sense to everybody? Yeah, so if you go deep within yourself, you're going to naturally connect to other people on a cosmic, soulful level. And because there's not going to be an emptiness inside of you that says, if I give, then I'm going to be lacking. And you can see this on social media. Somebody put up something really positive, and then everybody gives all their opinions. Can anybody relate to that? Mm-hmm. That's okay that they do that. We're not judging them. It's just one of those things where you can see where we're all at, right? Because we all have these emotional triggers. So how do we raise the frequency of the planet? By going within ourselves and looking at our triggers, and then not beating those triggers up, by loving them compassionately. There is what is called, the Mohawk called this Watiko. Is anybody ever familiar with this term? It is a psychic psychosis that's within all of us. It's that part of us that wants to bitch slap somebody because they cut you off in traffic. Anybody will relate to this?
Yeah.
And then you feel guilty about it because you're like, I'm supposed to be raising the planet.
Yeah.
Instead of bitch slapping yourself, because that's really what's happening, is you go in and say, what was that all about? I always say to it, it's like a little child, I say, get in the back seat, put the safety restraint on, get in that safety chair back there. Right, Sarah, with the kids in the safety chair.
Yeah.
So why is that so important? Because let me ask you a question. Does anybody have children here? Or have had children or are around children? You wouldn't beat your child, would you? I mean, you might smack them on the butt, but you wouldn't beat your child. Like, and so, well, why do you beat up the inner child that's within you? So you cut somebody off in traffic and you get upset. Why? Because you get afraid. So then you stop and you say, honey, where's that coming from? You actually go within yourself and say, where is that coming from? Why did you feel that way? Well, because my grandchildren were in the back and it scared me and I thought I was going to lose them. That's a natural response. Does that make sense to everybody? And so really what's happening here is that you have to look within and say, that's a fear, but it's also an emotion. So you can't just invalidate it. And so that's how I got over, and that's how I stood in front of 1,000 people and spoke in front of them. Because let me tell you, the inner demons that were standing inside of me saying, you're going to really screw this one up. And everybody's going to be laughing at you. So what did I say? I stood up in front of those people and I said, boy, they say when you're nervous, you're supposed to picture everybody as naked. And then I stared at everybody blankly. And, you know, some people got offended. And then most of them laughed. And so it's just one of those things where you have to overcome and love that part of yourself that's scared. And it's always going to happen. No matter, you know, the ascended masters, when they ascend from this world, they ascend into another level. Guess what? They have to ascend from that level into another level. So the constant growth of the soul never stops. Because think about how stars become solar systems, and solar systems become galaxies. We're ever expanding. That's why the universe never ends. That's why the galaxies keep on forming. Has anybody ever seen pictures of a galaxy being born from another galaxy? Yeah. And it literally looks like a child being born out of its mother's womb. So just think about that you are literally a galaxy that was born, and your mother was the stargate that brought you into this existence. That's pretty profound when you think about it. Your mother was the stargate that brought you into this existence. So Todd posts a lot of things about the divine feminine, and I absolutely love it because the world is now starting to bring it back in the divine feminine. That doesn't mean we want to forget about the divine masculine, because the divine masculine is a pushes forward. The divine feminine encompasses everything and flows. Can you ever feel that? Can everybody stand up just for me 1 second? I'd like everybody just to kind of get their feet like this, with the knees just bent a little bit, just shoulder length. And I want you to just take a deep breath in and hold it and exhale out. And then as you take that next deep breath in, I want you to feel that energy of the cosmos coming down into your crown chakra and coming down into the heart, and just holding there in the heart. And then keep breathing, deep breaths in, exhale out. And then you find the Mother Earth energy coming up through the root chakra, all the way up through your legs, and it joins the source energy of the heart. Take another deep breath in, exhale out. Now, in your inner voice, not with your lips, I want you to say to both of these energies, balance. And when you say balance, it explodes out. You're going to feel natural that you want to sway back and forth a little bit. Just take deep breaths in. When you feel that swaying back and forth a little bit, just raise your hand. Okay? Now you're standing in that Merkaba. Everybody know what I'm talking about? The Merkaba? You're standing, or if you want to say it, if you come from a Christian background, you're standing in the hand of God and Goddess, and Sophia and Elohim. Whatever your belief system is, it doesn't matter. You're standing in the divine feminine, divine masculine. They're holding you, and you can't fall. And this is where you're in your empowered state, because now you're right in your heart. But now I want you to take a deep breath in. I want you to push that energy out even more. Because you are a cylinder of light. Everybody feel that? You just keep on building that. You keep on building that. Each breath you let go and you expand. Each breath you let go and you expand. And then you ask for truth, compassion, justice, awareness. And you feel that for the whole planet, for the whole universe. Everybody feel that energy? Feel it pulsating through here. That's how powerful you are. So now, we're going to play with some energy a little bit. I'm going to push towards you. And it's okay if you don't feel this, but if you feel this, let me know. Raise your hand. Now I want you to push back towards me. Now I want you to say balance to the room, and everybody say balance. Balance. Now, every time you look at something on social media and it triggers you, you say, what's this all about? And you say balance, and let the truth be revealed. Because when it comes from here, from the center, then what we're saying is we want it to be not polarized. We're very polarized within, so everybody can take a seat if you would like to. We're very polarized. And so every time you point your finger at something and you get polarized, you pull yourself out of this place that we're in right now. But if you say, let the truth be revealed, with this energy, then what you're saying is setting the intention of not being one side or the other. You're saying to the universe, It's time for us to be in balance at the center of everything. And that is soul work. Because every time something upsets you, it doesn't matter what side you're on. The sides don't matter. What matters is the center. And that's all I have to say, Tom. I appreciate it.
I got such
This is what we're here for. Go for it. Thank you.
Hello.
Reverend Snuggle Tuggle. I said forever. It's like it's gone social now. Talking about what Jeremy was talking about. I had an experience. It was about 2009, and a friend of Jeremy's came over, and we were meditating with the crystal skulls. And being a healer myself and a Reiki master, but this is before I was a healer and a Reiki master. There is a male skull and a female skull, and you got to sit 15 minutes with each one in meditation. And I was thinking, okay, all right. So he says, whatever you do, he says, you just sit there. And he said, don't touch it and meditate. And I said, okay, thank you. I picked it up and I put it to my head. And I wanted to truly feel this because I had read somewhere about Munakai, when a teacher needs to teach the student at the end of their lessons, they will put the forehead together, and I wanted it. I wanted to know badly. So I picked it up and I put my forehead against it, and I asked, I don't know what it's like to be a man. I don't know how to have male energy. I said, can you please reveal male energy to me and what it is? And I shit you not. I went inside so fast, it was, and all I could see is the darkness. And there is this force, and it was going, and I'm thinking, this is what men feel like? Really? Well, and that's all I got, 15 minutes of nothing but this energy that pulses in and out, and it breathes. This male energy, it just breathes. And that's all I got from that one. So I'm going to sit in front of the female skull. And he says, okay, you have 15 minutes, please don't touch it. And I said, okay. I picked it up. What do you think I did? I put it up, I put it right here where I wanted to open up, and I did that. And I wanted to say, show me female energy, but show me how I can work with male energy. How is the healing going to, how am I going to do this? Boom, right inside again. And all of a sudden, this wall, and inside this, electricity was inside this bubble, and how this male force, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it blew, creation, and the stars began. And I seen it flash in front of me, that big bang with the male and female principle in the creation of, and to me, to this day, I feel that through my hands when I'm doing a healing. I feel that now I know how to be able to understand what it is that I'm doing to help. And I want to leave you with that. Thank you. Namaste.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's what it's all about. So that was a couple of really good commentaries there. I really liked both of these. One of them brings to mind Jeremy's, to me, is actually both, is imagination. You know, There's a lot of things we can talk about. We're way past disclosure and conspiracies and all that stuff, and that anything outside of us has power over us. What we can talk about is what happens at the human hybrid boots on the ground level. What does this really feel like? Because it's not all fluffy love and light. I think everybody here knows that now. And it's not the things that are going on in the external on the world stage that I'm talking about. It's not fluffy love and light. That's a reflection of ourselves. These things are happening to show these things to ourselves so that we can integrate with everything out there and understand that we're not separate from any of it, and understand that we have the power as one soul to rock the entire world. And you don't have to be in front of 1 million people. You can be in your own bedroom, in your house with the door closed, just you and the universe, mano y mano, and you can express your soul. You know, you can dance, you can sing, you can scream, you can cry, you can give your heart, your most vulnerable, core innocence, genuine. That is the power. And rooted in that power is what created all this, which was when we were all in the original space, never separated of one, and we're all sitting there in the perfect light. Waves are going by us, perfect tones and frequencies. Everything's chill. And somebody, one of the fractals said, hey, why don't we go do something fun? Why don't we mix this up a little bit? Imagination. It's very, very important. You know, our children, you mentioned children, and to support these children to use the power of their imagination, because it is the creative force of the universe. And we are in the flesh, and this is our trip. Our trip is the opportunity. We earned it, and we were chosen. You know, I know a lot of us think, how the hell, who put me here? Beam me up, Scotty, get me out of here. But we've come this far now, and this is why we're here. We're here to integrate all these polarities. And think about it, you know, integrating physical and non-physical, integrating masculine and feminine, integrating dark and light. We cannot divorce ourselves from any part of the universe. And this is where our power lies, because as we take those into our heart, we transform them, or as people say, transmute. You know, if you look at the, I think it's the physics definition of transmutation, or biology, it says that transmutation is the transformation of a species from one species to another. I really like that definition, but I look at it energetically. I think that the human species is now in a coronation, in a parade, in a coming out party, where we're actually being accepted into the universal family at a higher level, at a minimum. And we have to take responsibility for our universe, and clean out the closet so that we can thrive further in a higher dimension. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of the world, or it would have 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. But these are the conversations we need to have. I'm not here to specifically promote anything in particular, but I'm going to make a reference to a show we've done on Soulogy called Soul Speaks 5D. We've had 1,700, almost 1,800 episodes now, and we talk about everything. We don't talk about, you know, the conspiracies and disclosure and the reptilians and you know, all that stuff that's out there that we see and that we know that's there. We talk about what's going on with you. You know, how did you wake up? What face of the universe came in and started talking to you? You know, when did you get to a point where that face of the universe, or faces of the universe, that team, became you? And you know, we talk to people, and they talk to 5 or 6 different divine essences in their journey, and slowly but surely that becomes one voice. And this is where it's at. This is the point that we're all getting to now. So I think imagination is the key. We can imagine what we want, just as we worried ourselves to death and imagined what we didn't want. The difference is now we know that we control the outcome, and the only one responsible for that is ourselves, and this stuff is real. So we talk on this show about fairies, dragons, star family coming into the bedroom, soul merging, Helios Gamos. The energy's kicking my ass and I'm screaming and I'm ready to go. You know, whatever it is, because there's one thing I've found in the work that I do, and that is the truth is the catalyst. So it doesn't matter what the conversation is. When we speak our truth from the heart, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to feel fluffy, love and light, pillowy, you know, light, you know, but when we do this, when we share this authenticity, the rawness, and the realness, no matter what type of expression it is, people recognize that. Souls recognize it. The people themselves may not even be conscious of it, but the soul picks up on it. It's a contagious, expanding, incredible, phenomenal, fantastic energy that is connecting all around this world in the only grid that I really personally give any credence to. Nothing against the Christ consciousness grid or the Sophia grid or any other grid out there that I know of or don't know of. But I'm talking about the human hybrid soul grid, where we have our etheric hands, hand in hand, all around this world, and you can bet, you can bank on it, that anything that you produce is felt throughout the entire beehive intelligence. And this is what's happening. It's not the protesting, it's not the marching, it's not the boycotting, it's not the bitching and the moaning, and I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, or I'm this and I'm, you know, it's not that. It's not it at all. That's causing the changes, or will cause the changes in our external collective experience. It's from the inside out. And this is what's been written about for years and years and thousands of years. We're not even on the precipice or the cusp of what's happening. We are knee deep to a tall Indian right now. So all respect to our native brothers. So we've got a couple more people that have walked in that are going to, yes.
Can I speak a little bit?
Absolutely. Come on. Yes, absolutely. Anybody wants to speak? Come on up.
Okay.
Guitar, music.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can do all that.
Normally, I like to speak with my notes, but I don't have my notes today. Normally, I didn't bring my guitar, but I didn't bring my guitar today, too. But I want to speak about abundance. And Sylvia knows about abundance with me. The universe wants you to succeed.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I guess I better introduce myself first. I'm Reverend Vicki Lynn, and I'm with the Lamplight group as a Reverend, and I'm also with the Temple of Spiritual Awareness and the Universal Spiritualist Church as well. So I'm multifaceted. I'm an electronics person. I used to work for Honeywell, and I've done all kinds of experiences. I've played music now and been on stage in front of thousands of people. Reverend Monica has played on stage with me. Had a band called Spiritual Alignment. I still have the band Spiritual Alignment. Reverend Sylvia has been on stage with us, and we've done some pretty amazing things with that. But I want to speak to you about abundance, because the universe really wants you to succeed. It does. And it really plays into what we're all talking about today, is that, you know, if you dream it, it can happen.
Yeah.
If you ask for it, it can happen.
Yeah.
If you need to change it, it will happen. And the universe allows that for it to happen. But one of the funny things is you have to ask for it.
Yes.
You have to, when you get into the cycle of abundance, you have to say it's already there. You don't say, oh, I wish I had that, but I don't see myself getting it. You don't put out that negative connotation that, you know, I wish I could win the lottery, but I don't see myself winning it. You don't put out that negative connotation. People who have houses don't go out and say, I wish I could have a house, but I don't see myself being able to afford that house. You put out the cycle of abundance of, I already see myself having that house. I already see myself having it, but that's material things. What about the cycle of abundance is I'm already taken care of? Do you see yourself being homeless, or do you see yourself being taken care of as a person who has a vehicle that you can live in? Do you see yourself as a person who is nomadic, or do you see yourself as a person who is traveling the country and living your life to the fullest that you could possibly live? Do you see yourself as a person who doesn't have a job, or do you see yourself as a person who is traveling the country and having shows? How do you see yourself? This is the important thing. So many people say, well, what is important to you in your heart? Is it important to you that you have a job and that you have a big house and that you have a car? The cycle of abundance will give you that. Or is it important to you in your heart that you have a nice motor home and you travel the country and that you have yourself taken care of? A couple of months ago, a friend of mine was going out of business. And I sat down and I said, God, I sure would like to have an oscilloscope and maybe some more test equipment for my house. And I'm an electronics nut. I like to play with electronic stuff. So a friend of mine has a stereo shop. And he was going out of business. I really felt bad for him. So I went down to his business and I thought, well, gee, I have about $500 on a credit card. Maybe I'd pick up an oscilloscope because I'm living on disability, you know. Maybe I could buy myself a nice test. It's a piece of test equipment, you know, to further my hobby. So I showed up at his shop and I thought he was going to be so sad. And he wasn't sad at all. He got his disability check. He was retiring from his business and everything was happy. And I took down a bottle of homemade wine. And I said, hey, let's share a bottle of homemade wine because I make homemade wine. And I get all the ingredients for the wine for free. Because in infinite wisdom, the universe gives me all the ingredients for free to make homemade wine. I don't pay anything to make my bottles of wine. So when I showed up, he said, you know, Vicki, I'm so happy I've got this shop and everything. He says, how much money you got? I said, well, I got about $500 sitting in my charge account. He says, I'm going to make you a deal. For $500, I'm giving you the whole back end of the shop.
Wow.
Yeah, I got all this electronic equipment sitting in my house. My house is a cluttered mess. Cycle of abundance strikes again. I was worried one day that I might not have enough food for the house. And you know me, I give to the churches and I always pay things forward. And there was a center that gives out food to all of the, there's a distribution center that gives out food to all of the church pantries. So through Reverend Monica, I had found out about them. Hello, Reverend Monica. I love you so much. She was the lead singer of my band, our band, Spiritual Line. It's not my band, it's our band. And I found out about them, and they needed some volunteer work. Well, I can't physically lift anything, but I can sure work on a computer to help them out. So I went down and worked on the computers and stuff, and guess what? My house got loaded full of food, which I was able to help feed 10 families.
Beautiful.
So the cycle of abundance, see, this, when you ask and you say, I already have, that is the cycle of abundance. The cycle of abundance, when you give, when you tithe to help a church, when you can help with, when you pay things forward, things come back to you. That's called the cycle of abundance. It's how you want in your heart, how you give in your heart. And that's what cycle of abundance does. And it's how we see ourselves. It's how the power of I am. It's the power of our ability to make change in the world, our ability to be who we are. I needed to be who I am, and I am a transgender female. And for so long, I heard stories, you can't do that. Nobody will ever talk to you again. You'll never, ever, ever be on stage again. You'll never, ever play music again. You'll never, ever have a friend again. Well, as a guy, I had one friend for 30 years. But I'm standing up here talking to all of you, and I have so many wonderful friends.
I love you, Becky.
I love all of you.
Me too.
I've had an amazing life, and I would not have had that life if I didn't make that transition. And, you know, I have many different churches, and I know many different people, and I'm so blessed. Because the universe, what? The universe wants you to succeed. Because I am. And that's why we say, I am love, I am light, I am peace, I am. And I'll leave you with that.
That's all we need to do, man. I don't know how we're going to follow that, but
I was thinking it without like when you were
but really, you know, that's speaking the truth, having courage. You know, we have a saying on Soul Speaks 5D. We're about to do a little sample of Soul Speaks 5D. Hello. Good to see you. I see
Me?
you. Yeah, I see you.
Well, can I
wait.
say something right
Yes.
now? I would love to say something.
Yes, would you like to say something? Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone that, if you're ready, I thought you were waiting. Anyone that wants to say something, anyone that wants to say something, just don't go like that.
Say, hey, I want to say something.
Thank you, Todd. It's so good to see you. Hi, everybody. So my parents' name is Physical Vessel Christie, and I have spent the last year and a half on a journey trying to figure out who my soul is. And lo and behold, I did figure that out along the way. And I feel like I get led to these little soul gatherings all over the country as I do my traveling so that I can bless with my light language. And I can offer you a little background about myself, about what I've overcome, because I believe also I carry strongly within this physical vessel power with regards to physical addictions because of what I've come through. And I'll stay on this story very briefly because I like the present tense moment that came from this. But I was born into a situation, into religious indoctrination, where I was born into molestation. I had no memory much of birth through 8. I just all of a sudden was a very overweight child, messing with every other child in my neighborhood, with no idea how I had gotten there. And I went to my parents when I was 13 and asked for this to stop with an older cousin. And I was made to get down on my knees and ask for forgiveness, and then it was never spoken of again. And so when I found myself an adult alcoholic, and I went through several things too. I will tell you that I do believe strongly my baptism in the Holy Spirit came when I cried out. I was addicted to cocaine when I was in my 20s, and on February 22nd of 2001, I was crying out to God to help me. And I was baptized in a blue fire in my living room all by myself. And this is when my light language came forward that night, just to let you know how long I've been speaking it. So, but anyway, in that process, I dealt with alcoholism. But the thing that was killing me was binge eating disorder too. It was coded into the reptilian part of my brain. I learned all of this in eating disorder treatment and in brain development. But that had been coded into the reptilian part of my brain due to my trauma as a very small child. And so it blew my mind that I could not control that binge eating disorder. It was, I thought I would die with it. And I got a surgery to try and fix it in 2002, shortly after I had my experience with the Holy Spirit. And in 2017, I had an emergency surgery to have all that done. It almost took my life. Went right back to binge eating. I did try to commit suicide in December of 2017 by saving up all of my medications that they had given me from the takedown, and took them all at one night. I did not die, thank goodness. I had a lot of seizures that night, but I made it through. And I woke up with this newfound, I will make it through this no matter what.
Yep.
And I checked myself into eating disorder treatment
Good for you.
in January of 2018. And during that time, I was blessed with a sweet angel, Erica. Erica just empowered me. She said, start over. Let go of all that religious programming. Start over. What do you want to do? And so I went home that night and I picked up a piece of petrified wood in my backyard, and my third eye for the first time lit up with butterflies, and I threw it down. I was like, oh my God. But over the course of the next couple of weeks, I began to tell her I'm getting visions of a tree. And I need to go to this tree. And she's like, go to the tree. And so she started encouraging me just to follow this vision I was having. Lo and behold, I was led on a quest to our planet's oldest tree with this piece of petrified wood that I began to work with. And I discovered that I am a woman that works with Mother, with the planet. And I move energy. And I create grids and altars made out of pieces of Mother. Along the way, I was introduced to crystal manifestation grids. And then I was like, no, I started resonating with using my pieces that I was collecting everywhere and building these altars and grids that I feel like help us through planetary ascension. And I have a lot of fun doing what I do. But like I said along the way, I do get to speak to groups like this, and thank you for listening to me and hearing my story and blessing my journey. I can tell you my van just broke down in Florida, y'all. And I have been so taken care of. I have $350 in my pocket when that happened. And so for the last 2 weeks, I was gifted a motel room in the process. My van has been fixed. The gentleman that fixed it agreed to take payments. And then for the work that he couldn't complete, money kept coming forward for that. I have money to get back home to my daughter's wedding now next Saturday.
Yay.
On the anniversary, I thought it was great. She chose February 22nd for her wedding because that's when I was baptized in fire. So, anyway, right quick, like I said, and if anybody wants, one-on-one prayer and to talk with me and hold hands, I'm going to hang around because I was just on my way up to Tallahassee, y'all. I got on my phone at Speedway or racetrack or something to check my internet, y'all, because I had my GPS plugged in for Tallahassee. And I was coming through here anyway, but then I saw this was going on, and I was like, no way. So, anyway. All right. Good morning. Come, Mother and Father. Thank you. Sonia Maseki, Mosoteya Namasaya. Kisto Sonia Namaseki, Yatofosaya Tekia. Neotofosonia Nabasateya Namasitikia. No Masataya. Testo Sonia Namasakiti Anyo de Bayahaya. Te no Masataya. Adonai. Adonai, Adonai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aloha. So I thought I would come up here and talk about some things that we know about spirit, but mostly about science and what's happening in cycles. Now, we're aware that there are summer, winter, spring, fall. We have these moon cycles. We have all these different things that happen at different times, right? So, but we've heard from scientists when we're kids, we heard, well, the sun has so much life, right? It has its own cycle, and eventually it's going to burn out. Well, with the technology they had when we were children, that's all they could see was just certain time and going, yeah, it's eventually gonna fade out, which means eventually our galaxy is gonna fade out, which means eventually everything's gonna fade out. And like, no, no, that's not really how it works when you look at the cycles, when you look at everything that is recycled, even on our planet, right? Because things die and then things are regenerated and regrown. And that's the same thing happens in our planetary system, in our star system, which our sun is our star. Now, what planet is the closest to the sun right now?
Mercury.
Mercury. Now, if you think about it as these planets, right? What do they used to call them back then? They used to call them Titans, right? This Titan that we're standing on, what was her first name that we can recall, that we remember? Eden. Yeah. Back when she was one big landmass, she was Eden. So that was the Garden of Eden. So the beings that were here, that was her name. So now her name has changed and evolved over time, right? So if she's going to evolve, she's going to grow, she's going to change, then so is our solar system. And we're starting to realize now that with how the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, the energy that goes through and back around, that all that energy is recycled. And so nothing's wasted. And that's true with our star system. That's true with our sun. So that little teeny tiny marble, Mercury, used to be a big planet. A very, very long time ago. So it's all being recycled. It's all the planets as we look. A lot of them are getting smaller and smaller. Mars used to be a water planet, so with all that water, you know, it's still huge because it had all that water. Now it's all the water's inside, so it's going to eventually get smaller and smaller now. But we're just seeing that. Does anybody know the mythos of Mars? Do you know what that means, the mythos? So the Greeks would call Mars the god of war and the god of agriculture. But Mar in Latin means oceans. Mars means oceans. So if you put those together, we know that Mars was a water planet, right? And the Martians, what happened to them? They went to war over resources. They had very little land. It was mostly a water planet. So, but I'm gonna move beyond that. So, because that's another story itself. So, do you guys know about the Mayan calendars, the different wheels of time, right? We have our galactic, our solar time, which is 365 years, or days. But then the bigger wheel is the one that goes around. I think it's, they said, what is that next cycle? It's like 26,000 years, right? But what does that mean, right? Because it takes longer than that to go around the entire Milky Way galaxy. I can't remember. It was like millions of years, like 260 million years to go all the way around. So that's not the cycle we're talking about. The cycle we're talking about is the spiral that we're on, that we're spiraling around. That takes 26,000 years for us to go, our whole solar system to move around this thing. So we're going to have seasons, right? We're going to have galactic seasons. So when we're talking about the end of the Mayan calendar, we're talking about the end of a season, which is like we have a end of a year, right? And in human years, where are we? We're like in the middle of winter, right? So if we're at the end of a Mayan calendar of 26,000 years, we're in the middle of a galactic winter, which means that everything is going to change eventually. From what I understand, we have about 1,000 years before our potential really takes off. You know, really humans, but at this point right now, we're in a birthing process. We're in an expansion process because we are people of the sun. Everything is of the sun. It's recycled, you know, into the sun and back through the sun. And then that sun sends that energy back out, creates new planets. Everybody's like, oh yeah, there's that big asteroid field out there. That's all potential. That's all potential waiting for later on for planets to evolve billions of years from now, right? So bringing it back down to us, when we bring it back down to us, we are star beings. So where we come from was we originate from the sun. So when we go to other star systems, we go to their suns because they're all stars. The stars are suns. So that's how we travel. That's why we can go to other places. That's why people go, I'm a Pleiadian, or I'm a Syrian, or I'm this and that. That's where I originate from. Because that's how we travel, is we leave the density and then we go to the sun. We go to the sun. You know, everybody says, I saw the light when I died. I saw this light. And it's like, yeah, that's right there. But you definitely see it differently because you don't have human eyes anymore. So you see through a different frequency. So now that we're in this time of change and growth, they call it a birthing. Why is it called a birthing? Women know. we have these moments, men, where it's like, I feel different. I feel energy. I feel like these emotions that I can't explain, and sometimes it drives us to say things and do things that we don't. And it's like, see, that's what happens when women give birth, like a natural birth. You know, it's at looking at their husband, I love you so much, but I want to rip your face off. You know, but they love them nonetheless. It's just these emotions, these things are coming up, and it's happening to us all. It's happening to us all. We're going through this growth. But we have to remember that with that growth comes potential. You know, what do we do? What happens if we don't use our potential? What happens? You know, where does it go? It just goes away, you know, out. It's got to come out somehow. So I want, who here can see light? And have you guys ever seen anybody, a lot of people have seen the movie, The Celestine Prophecy. And they show the wave of light that comes from people's hands and people like. Have you guys ever experimented with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Has everybody here? Yeah. Just
Yeah.
does anybody want to come up? Maybe that hasn't, or somebody that has experience want to come up and share, so the people that haven't had that experience,
Tony,
so they can see it.
I haven't. I want to.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. Hey.
All right, brought me here.
You called me. All right, so go ahead and put your hands in my hands, and we're going to connect. See, everybody's different, but equal. Everything about us is equal. The only difference is, you know.
Perspective.
There you go. So when we connect in that. Okay. Yeah. Put your hands, but put 2 fingers on your hands. You want to describe what it feels like?
It feels like he's pulling me.
Well, there's yin and yang energy. One is push, one is pull. Right? Now, if you look in between our fingers, you can see.
Light.
Yeah, that's you and me. We are light. You see it? You can touch it.
That's weird.
All right, so
Wow.
so that's like a more of a, like, you know, those of you that work with crystals, you know, that's more of an acute. That's a real straight, where it's when you have your hand flat, that is like a dull, like bigger, using more of yourself. So put your hand flat. And right in the palm of your hand.
Feels warm.
You're gonna see it right from the palm. Right to you, from your palm to my palm. But don't try it. Just look at the empty space. You'll see it.
Oh wow.
But you feel it.
I feel it.
What does it
very
feel like?
strong.
What does it feel like?
It feels like almost an abundance of energy just right between the middle of our hands. Almost as if it's tugging your way and pulling my way.
Want to do that?
Yeah, I feel you coming closer. It's very low, but I can see a light.
You can.
That's impressive.
Now, watch right to it. So keep it flat. Keep it flat. No, right to the palm of your hand. Straight there you go.
My whole hand is going on this side.
What does it feel like?
Heat. Very warm. Like you're drawing something in the middle of my hand too.
Yeah, you can feel the movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we have like everything, we have a density, right? There are different densities. Those of you that work with Reiki, you know, you have the chakras. The chakras are the wheels, the spinning wheels of energy. Now, you also, those don't just affect the inner, they also affect the outer. It moves out into lesser density. But I guarantee you, if you and I stay connected and I move back there, or if I moved down the street, you would still feel me.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, it's because our fields are about as big as a football field. But so our acute thoughts, right? When we think about someone, we can connect with that one person. When we have a very straight, you know, name, this person, next thing you know, they're calling you, or you run into them. You're like, how is that possible, right? Right. But it's not magic. It's very practical. But the thing is that a lot of these things that we can do, we have to make it practical. We have to understand that we have a potential. And if we're not using it, it's being expelled through our pores, through our energetic body, right? So if we're not using these potentials, learning how to tap into them, because we're going to grow as a species. We're going to grow. We're seeing that. We're seeing that some of us have. How many times have we kicked this thing because of what we say? Or we see our friends, they go, yeah, I understand the concepts of magic and manifestation, and then you hear them say something that's like, well, look at the president that we have, and look at this that we have, and this, there's this virus going around, and there's this, and they're in that state. It's like that's where you're using your potential. So a lot of people go, oh yeah, but then other people will say, oh, you're saying that, and then they're just trying to speak their mind. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, that's okay, but we're growing. So yeah, so we need to shift our perspective, shift our become masters of ourselves, masters of our human, and we have about 1,000 years, and that's it seems like a long time to shift into our higher potentials, because it's going to keep growing. As soon as we come out behind the galactic cloud, that's what's happening. So we're coming out from behind, we're spinning around that tail of the Milky Way. And when we get right about here at what they call, we've heard of the event horizon. And that's what it means, is we're coming above the galactic cloud to get more cosmic energy. And when we have another sun, we have this big sun here projecting onto this smaller sun, projecting onto us. Boom. What happens then? Then we're really going to freak out. This is nothing. And it's a good thing that it's happening slowly, because otherwise, if it was really fast, who knows what would happen. And I'm grateful for it, because I've had a lot of those moments where I'm like, I'm losing my mind again. Oh, and then, of course, with the seasons changing, there's also, how many of you lost your superpowers? How many of you were like, I was tapped in, I was aligned, everything was moving and going the way I wanted it to, and then, bam, I lost my superpowers. Those times when they happen, we learn to prepare. We learn to prepare ourselves, right? I mean, it's like seasons, like natural seasons. We're not going to stack firewood at the end of winter. We're going to stack firewood, in the fall. We're getting prepared for what's to come. So when these things happen to us, we prepare ourselves to, okay, now it's a time for us to chill. It's a time for us to not worry about being a spiritual workaholic. It's time for us to reflect and to take a breath and to it's coming. Because there's so many different wheels of time, and all of them affect us from the nanoseconds all the way to the huge heartbeats of the galaxy. Did you guys realize recently, it was in the last couple of years, they were talking about the planets. Our planets now, they discovered, give off a pulse too. They give off a pulse. But why? Well, why do they give off these pulses? Well, it's to keep the spaceship solar system that we live in balance. It's like you've seen when the space shuttles go out into orbit, and then you see they let off a little psh, 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 psh. Well, that's what the planets are doing to keep everything in line, to keep moving, to keep them in where they need to be. So they are living conscious beings. Like I said, they used to be called the Titans. People believed that they were alive. They called them God names. Saturn, Mercury, Venus, for a reason. And they all had personalities. And then we called upon them to draw strengths from them. And it was part of the mythos, but it does not mean that we still can't do those things. Because they're still alive. So, yeah, I think that's it. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so we just make it up as we go. I just want to tell everybody, those who've talked to me, I've got you on the list. We've got plenty of time. We're in good shape. Yes, yeah, we got an hour and a half. I just want to make a couple of comments real quick. And then Antonio's going to come up. He's got a little something he wants to talk about. This lady here, who came up here before Eddie, I met in Sedona. And I met her again on Siskiyou Beach. But I just want to commend you and thank you, because in 1,700 shows, there's been many women that have come forth, many for the first time, with their story. And many of these stories are very much the same. There's severe trauma in childhood. The memories got washed. They came back later.
They went through many of the things that you talk about. It's very important. We are not our stories. We understand that, but it's important that the world know what happened. This is way beyond #MeToo. This is about the divine feminine's journey through all the last thousands and thousands of years. We live in a patriarchal realm. It's changing rapidly. We've both been impressed upon, both the masculine and feminine, by the patriarchal template. I'm a man. I'm not saying that men haven't been through. We've all been through. But she gave up her power. It was taken, however you want to put it. And now from a collective and individual energetic standpoint, she's coming back. And the more and more of these brave women that step forward, and even the men with their stories, okay, these stories that we couldn't tell because the patriarchal template wouldn't listen to us because we were different. We needed to be in a psych ward. There's something wrong with us. That's the feminine being suppressed in both the man that was traumatized and the women. But primarily it's happened in the female incarnations. So when you step forward and you bring your story forward, it gives other women strength. It gives a collective divine feminine propulsion to rise further. We know this has to be an equal balance, but it's time to support this energy of the true divine feminine. You can call it Mother Goddess, Mother Mary, Magdalene, Kuan Yin, Iemanjá. It's the mother, and I always make this joke, and I still don't know anyone that can prove me wrong, but if God has a gender, it's got to be a woman, because I don't know of a masculine entity in the universes, the multiverses, that can produce an offspring. But anyway, I wanted to say that. I want to say thank you very much. And I want to encourage any woman, any man that wants to come on Soul Speaks 5D and share this type of experience and get it off your chest and share that code, the code that's, the bravery, the courage, the love, the wisdom, the nurturing, the power, the holy darkness of the mother, and share that code with other people. We'll be more than happy to support you. So this is Antonio. I just met him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do now that he's discovered his superpowers. Just don't shock me.
How you guys doing? Just a quick, brief background about who I am. I am Antonio. I am a light worker, and I am a projector. My ability is to love abundantly, and it's a deep love. Like I have love for almost any and everything, and almost anybody I meet. I mean, you can be a heroin addict, fully locked in, fully engaged right now on, or you can be a homeless man laying on the street. I will sit down with you and talk with you and hold hands with you, hug you, speak to you, feed you. We can hang out. It's nothing, because I am everything and I am nothing at the same time. There is a deep energy in this world, and for the longest, it has been raining nothing but darkness upon us. To me, while we're on the topic, it's been a masculine energy. I feel like the masculine energy had its chance in this universe to bring about the change that they wanted. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it hasn't worked for us. So I believe solely that it is time for the feminine energy to rise up in us as men and us as women to change, to bring this change about. Like I said, a little bit about me. I grew up as a Christian. My parents were Christian, of Christian origin, and they took me to church every Sunday. I was at Sunday school. I was at Bible study every Tuesday. I was in the choir. I was in the plays. I was full about the church. I was a little deacon. He used to call me Little Deacon. I prayed every Sunday for the church, and it was something missing. It was a void in that gap that I lived in. I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was a void there. It was as if they really weren't bringing it full circle. And I think it was the love for everything. It was like they only love those who are in the same place as them. They only love those who are in the church with them. They only love those who prayed and gave offering like them. They didn't have a love for anyone coming off the street with a cigarette in their hand or with a joint in their ear or something like that. They didn't have love for that person. But then that begs the difference. Who are we really trying to change? Who are we really reaching out to, if not to them? Are we reaching out to robots who want to live a mindless lifestyle like all the easy people do? She's brought up a great point. Jesus, of all people, he hung out with who? Killers, thieves.
Yep.
He hung out with those people. He didn't hang out with the people in the temple. He didn't go to the prophets and be like, hey, you're my best friend. I want you to follow me. No, he wanted the fisher of men to follow them. The fishers, the drug addicts, the weak, the broken. He wanted them to follow him, to show the world that there is a change within each of us. Each of us. There is no difference from one to another. There's a change in all of us. And that's why I believe my spiritual ability is to show that love to every man, woman, and child, no matter who you are. No matter if you're transgender, no matter if you're homosexual, no matter if you're a rapist, no matter if you're a murderer. But I believe through my love, through that ability to love, we can change this world. So it's going to take a bit of work from each of us and a lot of love from all of us to make this happen. And I did have a piece that I wanted to share with you. I love rap. I love to speak and rap. I love to talk rap. My wife just awoke me to the fact that I'm a strong poet. I didn't know I was a poet. She was like, yeah, you should try poetry. And I found out I love it too. So I'm not going to do this in rap form. I'm going to do it in more of a poetic form. I have a bit of two pieces. Spoken word is the correct way to say it. And I'm a little nervous, but where's he at? I'm picturing everybody in here is naked. Don't worry, I got it. We're all naked, so we're all good. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, we're all beautiful because we are not outer shells, we are inner spirits. We are not outer shells. We ready? I'm gonna try to do this without breaking. All right. Right now, I won't back down. I'm giving it my all. It's starting to shake the ground. Right now, I won't back down. I'm speaking with my heart. It's starting to make a sound. Right now, I will not back down. I'll push it to the limit, no matter what's going down. Right now, I won't back down. I'm walking through the dark, but the light is guiding me out. The light is guiding me now. The dark is crumbling down. The night is destined to fade as soon as the sun comes around. No longer will I be bound. My flame was starting to drown. Then love came in and caught me before I could hit the ground. I feel like most of y'all don't live life or realize that real eyes can see lies from these guys. Can see lies from these guys. From you all stay hypnotized with these lines, orchestrated by their kind, and remain blind till it crawls up our youth's spine into their minds, and wonder why people say thugs like fine. Mothers crying from their child's chalk outlines, which got me writing these lines, hoping that I can buy time. Right now, we cannot back down. Right now, we cannot pull back. Right now, we cannot stop. We cannot give in and throw in the towel. It is not yet an opportunity for us to give the darkness all it needs is a slither of a crack of the window, and then the darkness is gonna rush in there and just take over. Don't you feel it? Don't you see it happening? There's mass hysteria going on around us, and the government is trying to keep us caught up in a political rat race for nothing. They're talking about nothing instead of what we should be talking about, how to bring us all together in unity. I'm going to do one more piece, and then I'm going to slide out of here to the corner over there and take my seat. But
Naked.
there we go. In my natural skin, in my natural skin. Let me put my thoughts together. A naked thing got it. It's going places right now. Y'all need a naked.
Did you say we're all getting naked?
Yeah, man, yeah. look, I think we just got like 12 people just jumped on Insta. Like, hey, let's see what's going on. Yeah, I also want to thank all of you for sharing. Each person that shared has also brought something to the door that helped us out, you know. And I was confused for a long time. I'm still trying to gather my thoughts for my next piece, so this is why I'm rambling. But I had an issue when I was younger where I was molested as a child by someone who was close and dear to me. And, you know, I didn't understand it at the point. I overcompensated by having sex with every girl I could run into, or trying to be the masculine or most hippest and most coolest thing in the atmosphere so everyone would like me. I didn't understand why I was drawing so near to being accepted and finding some kind of understanding. But it was because I was trying to understand what happened to me as a child. I didn't understand that someone who I loved and trusted and thought would protect me could do such a thing to me. Until I talked to this person, y'all. My wife taught me that it takes true forgiveness in order to move past the situation you're in.
Yeah.
So I had to go to this person with an open heart and be forgiving and understanding, hope that he forgave me too. Yes, I had a part in this. I had a part in this for not understanding where he came from, for not speaking up then and saying something about it when it happened. I could have erupted a whole cycle and chain of this molestation that had been going on in my family by just speaking up then. I didn't learn this until I was later in life. An incident almost happened to my child to help me to start speaking up. But let me tell you, when I talked to this person, you know what his response was? His response was that he didn't understand. It happened to him. He had been done this to by so many other family members. He thought it was a natural thing. It was a continuation of a cycle that we did not break in our family, that each of us have to go and search through our homes and see if we can break this yoke and chain upon us before it erupts into something deeper. But when I talked to that person, I got to understand with that person, it reopened the door with someone that I cared for dearly. And we was able to reconnect on a much higher level. And I just want to thank the universe and the cosmos for bringing that woman into my life who just graced our presence again to help me step into that awakening. Let me see if I can remember how it goes before I could. If I can't remember in a second, I'll sit down and come back up. But
You want to take a break?
yeah, let me come back to it. So I want to leave y'all with that love, peace, and happiness, all you. Namaste, and we can move forward in this future. God bless you.
Thank you. So we've got an incredible classical violin fiddle act. We've got two guitars. We've got my friend Laurie who's going to come up here and give a powerful testimony. Just going to try to break it up with the music in between a little bit. But I just want to say to my brother, my new friend, I'm getting reacquainted with, my beloved brother Antonio. I'm in St. Pete until March 31st, and I'm a poet too, and we're going to have a poetry slam. We're going to have a spoken word poetry slam, and you remember that next one. You can come up and do it in a minute, and get 5 or 6 or 10 more. Bring some friends. So I'm going to break it up a little bit. Just do a little poetry slam. I call them soul speaks. It's not rapping. It's not singing. It's somewhere in between. Conscious colored energy, hailing from the other side. Alternating currency, healing frequencies alive. Pleasing demons lost and found. Pains of angels, thorns all crowns. Light vessels, white, black, red, yellow, brown. Self-inflicted burden spark, healing freakish tendencies. Finally found the mark coded neath these damn dependencies. A sip and swallow just the same. Yin-yang vial of consistency. Come on, baby, play the game, pop the vein. It's a spirit of serenity. Blessed by fear's cell epiphany, fatal dreams found to lose earth, faith and an anomaly. Dirt shines, diamond blind, every card's coming aces one kind. Journey to divinity, conditioned sin. Erasing false reality, journey of extremities, chaos in the harmonies, finite to infinities, postulated possibilities. Freedom is fearless and it's free. Spaceless time and timeless spaces, fought the light, found the dark, both holiest places, beat the hell alive for me. Flip the screen, change the script, triple beam, trinity, full flip, tetrahedron DNA, blueprint, sacred geometric, a ball back, a trick, enough to make you sick, feel the poor, feed the rich. But now, my friends, we got this shift. Sovereignty is soup, surrender can't erase, tap your heels, Dorothy, stand in room only, it's a holy place, take the mask off, see the world's face, surrender to embrace, search without a trace. I'll be gone, except that solid, not empty space, the mind, heart, spirit, the I am soul. Purity, tears, so many lives, so many years, perfection, reflection. Hear the howling eyes of my ears, last stand up, deception, it's a universal correction. Past the peace, smoking angels trust, kiss the sky, crease the magical, new what we know, blossom and overflow, deuces times 4, double down. We're walking hallowed ground, how your perfect pitch, shake your freedom, twitch the divine, mama goddess twitch, blue blood, star shine, epiphany wine. It's time to get your soul shine on through the many years, many lives. We paid the many prices. It's time to get your soul shine on. Thank you for the inspiration. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Come on, now or never.
Now or never.
Like I said, there's a lot of incredible feminine journeys. I just met this beautiful sister not too long ago. She did my beautiful wife and I a big favor. And you got me out of her hair for a few days. So anyway, here we go. Oh, so you want to do it with me or without me? How do you want to do it? Now that everyone's...
Tell you what, hi, Laura here from Laura's Lighthouse. I'm gonna go because I've been, I got a different story. I got different things. First off, thank you all. This is my first time speaking out like this. I thank you. I thank you. And I thank you.
And I thank you. Let me thank you.
So proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am Laura. I am not fucking broken. I am not broken. I've been abused. I've been used. And then I woke up. We don't know what we don't know. Think about that. You know, how many times during the day do we go, God, I should have known that. I should have known that. But we don't. This is what our journey is about. It's about learning who we are. And I am Laura, and I am more. That's all I know. I am more because I'm not just Laura. I'm not just one of 13. I'm not the abused girl at 4 years old. I am not. My memory was taken away from me for 9 years. And I've been blessed for the last 2 months to receive it back. It's been difficult because the life I thought I had, that's not me. That's not me. The 12 siblings, you're not my siblings. Because siblings, no, if someone loves you, if they truly love you, they will stop the abuse. They will not say, hush, don't tell your father, don't tell. So all the siblings knew in my family, don't tell, we don't discuss things. And it turned out that I was the fucking elephant in the room that would not put a name to me, would not talk to me. So for 31 years, I have been carrying it around with me, just knowing I don't fit in. Who are these people? And I have tried and tried and tried to be who they wanted me to be. Just tell me, just frickin' tell me what you want, and I'll do it. All for the sake of love. And I was told by my angels this, and this has only been going on less than 3 years, and my angels told me I was in my marriage of 42 years until I was loved. Now for 42 years, I wasn't. And it took me last year at age 64. I love me. I got a divorce because I love me and I deserved better. I do not take crumbs. I took crumbs until I was 21 and I got married. And I took more crumbs until now, until I'm 64 and I'm single and I am on my own and I am learning what I didn't know. Oh, are we gonna have fun? And I really have. These past 7 months have been, how do I say it? I am living someone else's life. You know, all those people that you go, God, I wish I had their life. You know, wouldn't it be fun to drive that car or live here or travel? Absolutely. But now it's my life. And I don't have to give the joy and the love. I don't have vampires anymore in my life.
Yay.
I don't. I refuse. There is, I got salt around my doors and my windows. I'll tell you, nothing negative comes into my home. Nothing. Nothing.
So it is.
So now, this is my life. God, I love you, Todd and Morgan. I really do. This was just, all of you speakers, so proud of you. I'm trying to not to swear. I really
Please swear.
I fucking love you, people. I love you. I love you. Because all we have is our truth. Whatever that is. Someone else may not agree with it. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. This is my opinion. This is what I'm doing. And all I know is that once I loved myself, and I don't mean, oh yeah, I love myself. Oh yeah, I love myself. No, I don't. I love who I am inside. The core of Laura, not the abuse. Because I kicked that ass on December 31st. I said, you are not coming into 2020 with me. None of it. I don't bring any of that abuse or the people that gave it. Not in 2020. My vision is, oh Lordy, Mother Earth and everyone. Oh Lordy, yes, yes, yes. I could say yes, yes, yes to all of you talking. Absolute. This planet, this year, I got to meet you guys. And this is just a handful. Can you imagine? I mean, to me it's a handful, but can you imagine how many people being uplifted by you guys, being inspired by you guys, because you spoke. That's all we have is our truth. If you just speak, life is freaking awesome. It really is. Because I wake up thinking, God, every morning, it's before my eyes are open, it's like, yes, I got my first miracle. I'm alive. I'm alive. Yes, and then I can get out of that, you know? But it's like, and then same thing going to bed. I just thank God for all the miracles I had, because my number one is that I am living the life I was born to live. This forward, this is my life. And my life, my dream has been for over 31 years has been to save the children. We have to protect the children, because you know what? This face right here is child abuse, sexual assault on a child. This face here is child abuse, molestation. Fuck you all. Thank you.
Yes. Wow. Wow. I'm usually the one that gets in trouble for cussing at Soulogy. I promised my wife I would do my best to stay in line, but fuck it. That is a fucking goddess right there, an OG, original goddess, speaking from the heart, man. Wow. God. So we're, I don't know, I'm like just, yeah. Come on. We got time. We got a few minutes, yeah. We've got probably 5, 6 other people. We got an hour. We're good. Come on.
You are loved. You are so loved.
Okay, I am no longer Reverend Snuggle Tuggle. I am going to become the cussing naked Reverend.
There you go.
That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do the naked truth. They'll speak my naked truth, and y'all are going to fucking like it. Okay, so what I came up here to speak about is this. Brother, what is your name again? Eddie. So Eddie's up here doing energy work and being an energy healer myself. I totally understand where you're coming from. The point that you have to get, the point I had to get in my life is the fact that I had to speak my truth and be my truth and live my truth. On October 27th last year, my son was shot 7 times in the back. I'm sitting down in my living room. I am getting ready to learn the silver method. I had my pencil and paper, and I was getting ready to do a new modality, learning somebody else's point of view and seeing how I can incorporate it into my life. As soon as I sat down, I got a phone call from my daughter-in-law, soon-to-be daughter-in-law, saying, "Mom, go to the hospital. Eric's been shot 4 times in the back." And I'm thinking, oh my God, is he dead? My number 3 child, I have 4 boys, and I'm thinking, no, I don't feel that. I don't feel that energy. So I don't have a car. I call my best friends up. Vicky says, yep, I'll come get you. So I'm on my way to the hospital across the bridge to Tampa General. And I'm thinking to myself, Sylvianne, it's time for you to do a long distance healing. And it's time to do exactly what Jeremy and I teach, that Virginia Drake teaches, and how we have to do what we have to do. And I am not going to let not 1 inch of my power that I have not to be with my child at the time that I am not with my child. So we're heading over the bridge, and I said, Vicky, You keep driving. It's time for me to ground, connect, and balance, and it's time for me to talk to Eric because he's here. And I'm sitting in the car. My eyes are closed. I ground, connected, balance, and I said, Eric, honey. And then all of a sudden, his little baby soul came into my arms. The child that I nursed for 2 years, this little baby that I remember falling in love with, is in my arms, and I'm looking at his little soul, and I'm saying, son, if it's going to be too hard for you to jump back and come back into your soul body, into your body, if it's going to hurt too much, if you're going to have a life of something that you don't want to experience, if you need to go to the other side, I said, I won't hold you here. I said, you do what you gotta do. I said, but baby, let me tell you something. I sure would like to see your smiling face in a few hours. That would be absolutely amazing. I said, but you know what? I'm not gonna hold your soul here. You have to make the choice. And I said, I said, God's angels over to protect you, Archangel Raphael. And I said, I called on the physician angels to be with you. I call on all the angels to be with the medical team who's operating on you, how the operation is going to go great. You're going to have the best people there, and I'm going to see you soon. Long distance healing. We waited 9 hours. He lost his appendix. He lost some of his pancreas and his spleen and some of his liver, and his spine was hit and cracked. So this man wakes up 9.5 hours later after surgery. And when I looked at him, I said, son, I want you to know that I put it out there to people to pray for you. And he says, Mama, he goes, I felt it. I know, I felt it. And he's alive today. He can't walk. He's paralyzed from the ankles down to his feet. He has feelings. He's going to acupuncture. And he's starting to feel him back in his feet again. And he talks to himself. I taught him how to go inside. I said, you tell your brain to connect with your toes again. You say, toes point, feet move, and you keep reconnecting that which is blocked in the back, and then it'll open up. And he goes, I do it every day, Mom, every day. So that is what being a healer is all about. I mean, if you can't believe it with your whole heart that energy moves you and energy heals you, then, you know, you're missing out on a lot, because it is true. And he's alive today. My baby's alive, and I hope no mother ever has to go through that. But if you do, know that that energy that you need to help heal is there. I will leave you with that.
Right on. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to keep it going. We got an hour to go. We're right on time. The universe is never in a rush. It's always on time. We got a new friend. I have a new friend named David, and he plays fiddle and violin, I believe. And welcome him up, and let's change the pace a little bit. Get your dancing shoes on, or I don't know. Let's see where the music goes. Maybe somebody can start rapping to it or something. We'll see. Let's see. Mix it up. Add frequencies to an ever-expanding vibration. That's what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you. No. Be back here. It's pretty hot.
Well, wow, I did not know what I was getting myself into today. I was invited to this 2 days ago, and I'm a friend of Jeremy's, or Jeremy's a friend of mine, or maybe we're both friends, maybe. But I'm very new to all of this, as Jeremy well knows. My experience is that I decided to, I was having my own tough times in life, and about 2 years ago I decided to go visit my cousin, who was very much into all these things and friends with some of Jeremy's friends. It was just amazing what I learned. I really didn't know my cousin very well. I just decided out of the blue to go visit him. And I have to tell you, I don't know what happened, but my life turned on a dime, and everything has been just amazing since then. And it just keeps going. And I don't quite understand what happened, and I'm learning. I am really learning. But anyway, I'm really very happy to be here. I normally bring music and use it as my crutch, but I kind of thought this, sorry Jeremy, but I didn't understand what this was. I thought this was a jam session, and I thought I was just going to be getting together with a bunch of people and improvising. So I'm going to do what I think I remember best, and hopefully I will remember it. And I would like to talk about it a little bit before I play it, because I did this on, actually it's a year ago now, I played this on a cruise ship for the first time, and I did it similar to today, because there was no piano or anything. And as I got toward the end of it, all of a sudden I realized that the audience was kind of humming very quietly and singing along with me, and it reminded me very much of The Sound of Music at the end of the film, when the Von Trapp family is on stage, and they all kind of quietly start singing Edelweiss with them, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. And which leads me to the next thing. All this naked talk today. That's a dangerous subject anyway, but one of the things I used to say years ago was I think it's a whole lot easier. It would be a whole lot easier for me to stand up here and be naked than it does to play music and put my soul out on the line like it is, like what happens when I play. And so what I'm going to do now is Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
All right.
That's as a poet, you will know that Leonard Cohen is probably the greatest song I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
Thank you so much. What a gift that was.
Yeah.
Can I just say something about him?
Yes.
David, every time he plays, makes me cry.
I also.
He performed at my conference that I put on a cruise ship in September.
Wow.
and he made all 125 people, he was the 26th person, cry.
Well, I'm gonna be here to March 31st, so I'm gonna do a collaboration. Now, that was powerful. That was powerful. Before we get to the next speaker, do you want to try again? Or you want the wife come up?
I'm gonna go up, and she can come up right behind.
Okay. Okay. So we're right on schedule. We're good. I love it, man. It's just like everything's falling into place.
You're just speaking that into motion. We're right on schedule.
I know.
Oh man, that's how you talking into the universe. You
That's
got it.
right.
All right, I'm gonna leave y'all with this piece. This is another piece speaking into the dark, so we can bring everyone into the light. Stop trapping your minds inside your mindset. Set stages for gaining positive outlets. Cowlicks don't mean that you earned your stripes yet. Oh shit, I'm finna hit you with this track. Let's let the light be your guide and do not detach from source that's keeping our bodies erect, but set fires to nations that are in deep threat of the dark, consuming the whole continent. Let's switch our offense to defense. We're playing prevent. Meeting souls at the doors with arms outstretched, latching, attaching, and matching out that these hearts sketch, till we paint them a picture of their beautiful mess, reassuring their soul that there was no regret, just divine intervention giving a heart check. Thank y'all. Namaste. My beautiful, I got you, Todd. I got you, Todd. My beautiful wife, Ayla. She's a lovely woman, and she's the reason I'm here today. Thank you.
Okay, so I have stage fright. I'm gonna try to really hard try not to let my anxiety get in the way. But I am Ayla, is what my parents called me. I call myself Divina because I am a divine spark.
Very nice.
Sent from the universe.
Very nice.
But my name represents that because Ayla in Turkish means light off the halo. My mom would describe me as a child, larger than life, and stole all the energy out the room. I am a survivor of a rape, of violent, disjoint rape, and therefore turned into a life of addiction and prostitution. I ended up having enough when I was in the Virgin Islands with trying to regain custody of my son and realized that my love for him was not enough to keep me clean. And that realization led me into a rehab. And that rehab was in St. Croix, and the universe was so happy that I asked for help because it costed tens of thousands of dollars, but I got in for free. And it was on a slave plantation, and it was a very spiritual grounds. I was already a really spiritual child and had a lot of gifts that I didn't know how to control. So when I went there and they take away your phone, they take away every access to speaking to anyone, and then put you in a dormitory, especially me because I was labeled as bipolar and all these names that they couldn't figure out why I was so different. So they gave me all these human names and labels that don't define me. And so I couldn't like socialize with a lot of the other people, which is exactly the divine purpose that the universe did, because I didn't like to be by myself because all I ever accepted was what everyone else told me I was. You were bipolar, you were crazy. If you just take these pills, you will be normal.
Yeah.
You need these pills, Ayla. Don't you understand? Like nobody acts or feels the way you do. So in rehab, there was this mill, and I don't know what its intentions was prior, like when it was working, but it was just a circle, and it was like a wind, and there'd be leaves on the floor, and when the wind blew, all the leaves would just go around. Well, I ended up deciding that that's where I was going to spend a lot of my time. I ended up learning about Buddhism. My parents did not indoctrinate me, which was beneficial, and they didn't believe in religion, so I had the opportunity to believe of free will when I was ready. So the first thing I ended up going to learn about was Buddhism, because it says that do not believe anything, question everything, which that's what I did best as a lunar Virgo. So as I started to learn to meditate and the universe started to present itself to me as being in the yang and integrating my darkness, and that's where I learned what shadow work was. And through shadow work, I learned that I needed to love myself, to love others. And that's why my son wasn't enough to keep me clean, because I didn't know how to love him at full capacity. And after on this journey for as long as I've been on, I still haven't learned how to love myself at full capacity. But I will say that 50% more than it did 10 years ago. And 50% has gotten custody of my son, a beautiful husband, an ongoing spiritual business, and lots of people that love me, and a lot of people in my life that I've impacted on this journey that want to know, what have you been doing? Ayla, we used to be smoking crack together. Like, look at how beautiful you are. Where are you? What are you doing? I want what you have. I was like, yeah, you have it. You have it. Everybody has the light. And on that journey, like, I have been able to recognize, light language, and I'm able to astral project, as so my beautiful husband does it much better than me. But, this journey has taken me into the galaxies and into the cosmos, and that consciousness it's amazing how right now, as we're speaking, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to meet like 20 other people talking about these same things randomly. It always happens every single time. So I just want to thank you guys so much for letting us know about the group. I'm so happy. Thank you, Eddie. And thank you, everyone, for your stories. It was really powerful.
Thank you. Holy crap, I don't know how I'm going to keep from crying. Every time somebody gets up, I start wanting to fall. I'm like, I got to get up there and talk. I can't be having snot in my nose and all that.
I got to talk.
Yeah.
Just one.
Right. You're good.
Laura here. There I am. I wanted to say, I've had a couple of people say, how do you learn to love yourself? It was the hardest thing I had to do, because it was a whole lot easier to give to other people. It was just a whole lot easier. But it didn't do anything for me. I went to therapy, I went to counseling, I went to support groups, and I did all that work, and it's like, come on, 30 years later, when are you going to be done? And so I asked the angels, when am I going to be done with this? I want to be done. And they said, okay, die. No, I don't want to be that done. I just want to be done with doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. I just wanted to be done with it. Can't I just be here? I learned you can ask your angels to be gentle with you when you have a lesson to learn. I didn't know that. You mean I didn't need the 4x4 to the head all the time? Every once in a while a gut kick, okay, got it. So I learned that now they can be gentle. And so this process of learning to love myself, someone had given me 5 words to say whenever I am asked for anything. Is this good for me? Very simple, very simple. Is this good for me? Someone wants me to drive them here or pick this up or do this. My first comment, is this good for me? And you have to be honest. Put it this way, I was the worst. Not that I was the worst. I'm just saying better explanation, thank you. If you were given a task to write down 10 things that you are so thankful for and you love, what would they be? Just write it down. And I did it. And I wasn't on the list. I wouldn't have been on the top 100 of my favorite things. I wasn't there. So it's like, well, I can't point the finger at anybody else and say, well, it's because of them or that, or this is why I'm like this. No, I had to accept me for who I was. So this past year and really heavy duty 7 months, I have been focused on me because I am the only one that I can work on. Nobody else. Nobody. My boss, the neighbor, nobody. So really, I had to, I mean, I love them. I send love and everything, but it's to the point I had never been first in my life. I had never been first in anyone's life. But then I wasn't supposed to. I needed to be first for me. When I got that, I would just ask myself those 5 words all the time. Is this good for me? Is this good? I know people thought I was nuts because I'm standing in line. I don't know. Is this good for me? I don't know. I'll admit, it's crazy. But it really, do it. Trust me, they'll stay away. They don't come close. They don't. Really, it works every time. Just stand there talking to yourself. But I had to love me. I had to say, yeah, this is me. What are you going to do about it? And I looked in the mirror and I said, I fucking love ya. And that was it. Flaws all. I love me. Every wrinkle, every stretch mark, everything I love about me. Because I am the only me here. You know? I am the only me. Nobody else can do this job any better.
No more bitches and assholes.
Like I said, I have salt around my windows and my walls. Remember that. You can't get in. But once you start making yourself a priority, if you're with the family, siblings, whoever, and they want to do this, just check in. Do I? Is this what I want? And it doesn't have to be drama. If you tell truth with love and compassion, you're fine. You're not hurting anyone. There's no need for guilt. There's no reason, oh, geez, I feel so bad.
Even if you are hurting somebody, let them own that. You will hurt people.
Oh, I'm not hurting them. Yeah. They don't like what I have to say. Yeah. I'm good with that. I'm real good with that.
Yeah, I'm saying don't worry about hurting people's feelings.
True. Well, and that's the thing. I have to put me first. No one else is going to, and it's not their job. It's my job. My job is to be the best Laura I can be. I don't want to give 30% to you. I don't want to give 40%. I don't want to give 80%. I want to give 100%. So I'm going to have to take care of me, just like on the planes with the mask, you know? Choose your favorite kid, you know? No, sorry, Southwest does that. Sorry, it was cute. But it's, you take care of you, and then before you know it, it ripples out. Other people feel it. They get pulled into it. So that's why I believe we just need one person in a family, just one, to heal themselves, heal the inner child, love themselves so much. It can't help but affect the rest of the family. So I feel in this world, we just need one of every family. That's all. Let's get our hands on them. Let's brainwash them. You know, talking about all this self-love. You mean really? Versus it's okay? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And today I just wanted to show, I don't know if it shows it well, but I have a necklace of keys. They're the heart. What else is on there? I don't know, Tom, can you help me? This is too close. I can't read it.
Dreams. Let's see. Journey.
It's a journey.
Memory. Secret. Heart. Love. And last but not least, life.
I got my life back.
Got your life
Yeah.
This is my first speaking engagement, and I got my life back to continue speaking because all of us need to put power behind our voice and don't stand back. Don't bow down. If someone doesn't like what we have to say, they can leave. It's as simple as that. I have an open mind. I can listen to everyone. I don't have to agree with everything, but I can listen. I can give them the respect, the dignity that they deserve as a human being. I am not. I am not here to say you have to do this, you don't have to do this. I'm just saying I'm 64 years old, been living this for 60 years. Don't. Take the shortcut, heal yourself now, love yourself now, and then you will have a huge life to live healthy. I figure I had a huge part to work through, and that was my journey. I was to experience all I did for me to be here and to speak my truth. So I love you, love all of you. Awesomeness, and thank you, Todd.
We.
Well, we're trying to put a soul train together, a caravan. We need speakers. So, maybe we can make you an offer you can't refuse. I don't know. We have a beloved brother that's going to come up here and play a song, the only song he's ever written at the request of his beloved, about past lives. And I just want to say something real quick about shadow work that both the ladies hit on. Very important. I met the divine goddess that I incarnated in my life about 4.5 years ago. Prior to that, for about 4.5 years, I was very connected every day. I was having apparitions and all the things that we hear about, I experienced. But I was still very shadowed, and she showed me how to clean those up. And it changed my life. So don't be afraid of the shadow. It's got the gold in it. I'm just giving it a little bit of props.
Very good. Okay, thank you. I'm sure that'd be good. Thank you very much. Well, we were sitting around one night, Debbie and I, and we had a few glasses of fine wine.
Back in the day.
Back in the days, yes. And she said, "You've never written a song." And I said, "Well, no, I haven't. I've sung a lot of songs in a lot of places, some big, some small, but I never wrote my own song." So I wrote this song, and it's probably appropriate for this meeting here today, but I don't remember the words to my own song, so I can read it. There are no swear words in it.
I can help. I can help.
We've lived so many lives and all. Down through the ages, we've answered the call. Our eyes grow old, then shine again through the castles of time. A millennium climb. I've been a father, a brother, a son, mother of many, a hero, a song. I've followed and led, as a scoundrel I've fled, in a life too calm. I'll be a hero again. We've lived our promise to come here and learn, act out our parts to teach and to learn. There are times in our time to test us all. here or there, will never fall. Where do we go? We do not know. But when we go, we'll know where we've been. We'll see all our lives, know who we are, and where we fit in this universe plan. The days come and go, and the dream. A place set for us in the eons of time. In a time we can soar and be who we are. Be who we are. Be who we are.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hang out. We're gonna have it. All right, we're gonna end it with a jam in
Yeah.
32 minutes.
Awesome.
We're right on schedule. Go figure. Do we want to, anybody got anything to say, or we can bring Monica up here if you're ready?
How about Vicky?
Or Vicky? Either one.
Yes.
Anybody want to share anything? Hello, how are you? Is she the one that came to speak too, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
But I will.
If you'd like to.
We want to hear Vicky live.
Okay.
Woo-hoo!
Oh, no, I'm fine. Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing me to come up and play.
We're doing Santana today, so we're doing.
Yes, little Santana mixed in with,
And I got it in me.
Mega magic.
The strap is so short.
Isn't that a great song?
Need help?
I think I'm gonna wear this around my neck. Okay, thank you. This is like, oh, I got a guitar around my neck. It's a violin, it's a violin that you play like that much. Can we
Probably right around.
can we work? Yeah, it needs to be.
Let me see here.
Yeah, I'm such a big person.
It's your big heart, honey.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, so I think I'll sit in the chair. That'd probably be the best way to do it.
Can you make it a little bigger?
No.
No, it's about maxed out, so I'm gonna grab a chair. This'll work.
Whatever.
Is anybody out? You didn't know this was a comedy show, did you?
Sure.
It is when Vicky lives here.
Yes. I play the guitar the same way I play the microphone. Does that sound good? You know, laughter does help the soul.
Oh, yeah. Best medicine.
That's what they say.
Sunshine.